At the round table with family, I'm your host Larry Ellison, and then my co-host is in the studio with me as well as Dr. Willie Bradley is in the house. The doctor is in the house, giving you a checkup for the neck from the neck up. We're in the second hour of the broadcast here, but we want to thank our sponsor, Guaranteed Rate Mortgage Company. For all your mortgage needs, give branch manager Cora Horribrook a call at area code 781-342-0252. Guaranteed Mortgage is located at 75 State Street in downtown Boston, Mass. Guaranteed Mortgage Company. Guaranteed to exceed your expectations. Good morning again, Pastor Hobbs. How are you, sir?
By the grace of God, I'm well. Thank you for asking.
Good. Like I said, folks, you said a lot going on in this country, but I am proud and honored. I know my brother from another is on the line. I call him my brother, but his official title is Brother Student Minister Rodney Muhammad is on the line there, and I'm going to give us a few minutes of his time this morning to talk about what he's been doing, and now that the nation has expanded, they have opened up in Cambridge, Mass. I know I was talking to someone this morning. I said, "Wow, Cambridge is unique," but expanding that knowledge and that wisdom. So I think he is on the line there. Brother Rodney, are you there, sir?
Yes, sir. It's good to hear your voice, Brother Larry Ellison and Reverend.
It's good to be here, and Dr. Bradley is here with us as well. Did you steal, Brother Rodney? Did you steal my cruise? I hear a siren in the background. Yeah,
I know you have an affinity for wherever he is. He's driving or he's running from us or what?
No, Brother Rodney likes the cruiser with the siren. That's what it is. Yeah, we had a special trip one day. That's why he understands that joke there.
Oh, okay. So there's some back rooms.
Yes, you do owe me a ride.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you, that brother had white knuckles by the time we got from Mattapan.
Oh yeah.
Well, listen, if you get from Mattapan to Grove Hall in less than a minute.
Oh yeah.
It's quite a ride. It's quite a ride.
You use the sirens.
It's quite a ride. Well, Brother Rodney, before we go into what you called in for, but I just want to, because folks understand, we go way back. Our families connecting. I remember, your mom, the Sadberries, that your family name originally before you converted to the Nation of Islam. And I went to school with your brother Akbar. I knew your family. You guys grew up in Southwood. I had cousins that live on Edgewood, and I cut through there. And now we've come full circle and actually completed that circle because our brotherhood is just something that I really cherish. So I just want to share that personal connection with folks about us as well. So I thank you for that, and I really appreciate that, my brother.
And likewise too.
So tell us what's going on, and I know tomorrow's a big day. Tell our listening audience if the public is welcome, if they want to come and participate. If not tomorrow, but going in the future, what you have with the blessings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as well as Minister Farrakhan, you have a chapter in the Cambridge area.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for allowing me a few moments on your very powerful program, giving our community the information that we know they need and we need in order for us to focus on progress. Mm-hmm. And the condition of our community is in such a bad shape, wherever we start, we can make progress. Mm-hmm. In regards to Cambridge, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he asked me to take on this assignment in Cambridge to extend the Nation of Islam. I worked all my life in Boston and raised in Boston, and so Boston is in good shape as time goes on. There's always room for improvement in any city. So in Cambridge, they never had a chapter of the Nation of Islam, and so this is groundbreaking. To be able to pump in the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the city of Cambridge, because religion should transform the lives of human beings. And we know, in light of the pandemic and all the problems that we have in this country and in communities where we live, the original people of the earth, we need to have a transformation in our lives on every level. So I am excited and blessed and highly favored to be honored to take on this mission of establishing eventually a mosque in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in the Central Square area. As of tomorrow, I believe that's the 27th of this month, at 11:15, our doors open, and 11:30 we will have a live lecture in Cambridge, representing the Nation of Islam. That's 71 Cherry Street. It's right off of Mass Ave, and just before you get to Central Square, and it's MBTA accessible.
But also, I see there that free parking is available, and that is
yes.
Unusual for Cambridge.
That is key.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. We cannot forget that.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's problematic to be anywhere in Cambridge.
Absolutely. That's why I wanted to pick up on that. When I saw that, I was like, "Wow, that ups the ante." Because Cambridge is not a car. If you're not a resident, it's not very friendly to you. So that's very important.
And Larry, we don't want the men in blue or women in blue to give us a ticket.
There you go. There you go. So tomorrow is the grand opening of this chapter in the nation in the Cambridge, and this is the first. That's powerful, and congratulations, my brother.
Thank you so much.
So, what can folks expect that are not familiar with the teachings of the Nation of Islam?
Well, we traditionally have lectures on Sunday.
Okay,
that's our main day on Sunday, and we have lectures of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So we talk about a lot of the things that plague our community and things that just happen in our lives that we need to transform. So on that happens on Sunday. Usually the lecture is about an hour and a half, and that goes real fast.
Right. Wow.
Especially when you're delivering a message that's applicable to the condition of black people and all oppressed people around the world.
Well,
on Wednesday night, we have a session every Wednesday night, as of this Wednesday coming, from 6:30 to 8:30 at the same location. And that is more like a study group. You know how they have Bible study?
Yes.
Well, we have scriptural study in the Bible and also the book of the Muslims, the Holy Quran. And we sit informally and we talk about biblical scriptures and how it's applicable to the plight of our people.
Well, I can tell folks, if you have never heard this brother speak, you were definitely in for quite, just an informative, impactful, and meaningful dialogue and conversation. Brother Rodney, so this is, if I'm not mistaken, is this open to the public? Anyone can come and visit the mosque? Anyone can come to the to see?
Yes, it's open to our people.
Okay.
We have a specific problem as black people in this country and in the world. So the message is tailor-made for our people, to uplift our people. Yeah. And most white people understand that. They understand that, for instance, Brother Larry, if you had a problem in your home, it doesn't take anything away from anyone else. But if you have a problem in your home, you lock the door and you have a family discussion.
Right.
You solve that problem by the grace of God.
Yes.
And after that problem is solved, then you can open your doors up to the next door neighbors and the community. But black people in the communities where we live, we have serious, specific problems that need to be addressed. And we do not want others to exacerbate that problem. Not that we're against others, but the Nation of Islam has a long track record of reforming the lives of black people, whether we're in the community or in prison.
Well, growing up in my home, we had a saying, and I'm sure it was probably very familiar in yours. It's to clean your house before you clean somebody else's, right? So what you're saying is that take care of what you need in your home, because there's no way you can take care of someone else. So, Brother Rodney, For folks that can't make it, is this going to be Zoom accessible? Because there's still folks who are a little hesitant about being indoors. Can folks participate in this powerful message through Zoom or other social media aspects?
Unfortunately, not at this time. Okay. Now, what we put in place is a protocol, and what that means. Of course, it's required to wear a mask.
Okay.
And I was able, by the grace of God, to purchase 2 air purifiers. And one purifier can actually cover 550 square feet.
Okay.
And so it's more than enough to have 2. And then again, so we have a lot in place. We make sure the location is sanitized and whatnot. And, the nation is very disciplined.
Yeah.
And we're very disciplined in regards to protecting our people on every level. So it will be, I believe, safe enough for our people to come.
Yeah.
And we've been having meetings for the last several months after the restrictions were lifted in the Nation of Islam in regards to the pandemic. But God is good, and He's good all the time. And to add to that saying that you just mentioned, mother may have and father may have,
yes,
but God bless the child that has his own.
Absolutely. And I know you got to run, but I wanted to just talk a little bit, if you don't mind, of the powerful outpouring of love and affection that the Nation of Islam showed our brother Billy Sylvester in his homegoing a few weeks ago. I know you were present. Minister Farrakhan could not be here, but he sent his son. That was a very powerful presentation by him coming and speaking all the way from Chicago. Can you just talk a little bit about that and how impactful that was? And because I think that is really the message that you've been conveying about. That's the type of community and unity in our community that was worked back then and probably is much needed today.
Yes, thank you for asking me. Billy Sylvester, I knew him for over 40 years.
Wow.
And I got to know him and you. And it's a small world. I did not know that you were so close to the address where I grew up at.
Yes.
And we have been friends for many years. But I got to know Billy Sylvester, Superintendent Billy Sylvester of the Boston Police Department, our brother. May God be pleased with him through Emeritus Minister Rodney Muhammad. Minister Don has always been a giant in the black community and in the city of Boston and beyond. And Minister Don introduced Billy Sylvester to policing in the black community. And they became great friends and stopped a lot of crime and a lot of situations in our community that was life-threatening to our neighbors and others. And they have became a role model in the sense that was the Boston miracle. And so a lot of other cities took on some of what they learned in Boston. But the relationship with the Nation of Islam and the police department, especially black police officers and others, is actually a powerful message to law enforcement and to community to show that we couldn't work together. Now, there's bad apples in every situation. We don't support anything that's wrong, but we support that which is right. And Billy Sylvester was a great police officer, and so many can learn from how he lived his life in law enforcement, and along with yourself and others. In the Nation of Islam, we have many police officers, just like we have many judges and doctors in the Nation of Islam. So we're not against police. We're against racial profiling. We're against wrong. And that's why it's important to have police officers in our community that have the genuine concern and love for the residents in that neighborhood. And Billy Sylvester he was a role model in that sense.
Absolutely, and I know you've got to, but see, this is why it's important, because we're losing a lot of our leaders from back then. Those connections. I know Minister Don's health has been declining as well. A lot of our elected officials who worked with us collaboratively, we don't see it. That's why. To me, I really value and love the relationship that we have, because it's on that same line, and we seem to have distance away from that. I know Dr. Bradley is sitting here next to me, because he always talks about how what inspired him was when he saw Billy Sylvester walking through Franklin Park
at the Kite Festival,
right?
And he was very welcoming, and he was extremely talkative.
Right.
I asked him questions about policing, and he looked at me. He said, "Young man, you can do this." And I ended up being a deputy superintendent. All because of that encounter.
All right. So, folks, please join brother student Minister Rodney Muhammad tomorrow, Sunday, March 27, 2022, from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. as he gathers support of the opening of the Cambridge Mosque there, located at 71 Cherry Street in Cambridge, Mass. And, folks, here's the thing. Free parking is available, so that's important for folks there.
Free parking in the Republic of Cambridge.
Free parking, and
if I can close, if you don't mind.
No, you go right.
Can close, yes, thank you. If I can close that statement by saying this, that Billy Sylvester, he really loved the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he loved his family.
Yeah.
Because of what the minister has been doing for over 67 years plus in this country and really throughout the world. He's looked upon in other countries as a head of state. So whenever Minister Farrakhan came to Boston, the place where he was raised, in Roxbury, Billy Sylvester would always have a contingent of police officers, mainly black police officers,
which I was proud to be one of. Right, I was proud to be
Absolutely. And also white officers would have respect for the Nation of Islam, and they would secure Minister Farrakhan and his family because of credible threats. And when you speak truth to power, you will be threatened. And so Billy made sure that the minister got in and out of Boston safely. And for that, we will always honor and respect him and those who were with him.
Well, he and his family, and to that point, Minister Rodney, I think that was important for young officers like myself to see that early on, right? And that it helped build the relationships and the trust. Right, I don't feel like when I'm around brothers and sisters of the nation that they see me as the enemy. They see me as a brother, right? And I love that, because it's not like we got to watch it. I mean, it's very comfortable. I knew over the years. I remember the last time that I participated in one was when the minister came and he actually was staying at. It was ironic because he was staying at the old hotel. It used to be police headquarters. Is when the last time I took part in that. But the reception that I got, Billy was there, and because I came down, and it was just really refreshing, because these brothers, you guys, when the brother ministers, they're always on point. His security is paramount but it wasn't that they letting their guard down, but they could focus on others because they didn't see me as a threat, and I knew that was important to me because I wasn't a threat.
And that was very powerful when I introduced you to Minister Farrakhan's son, who spoke at Billy's funeral service, and that was Supreme Captain Mustafa Farrakhan, and he was so overwhelmed for the love that law enforcement and the black community had for Billy. Billy was a great giant, and he's no longer among us, but he will never be forgotten.
Right. Well, Brother Rodney, I thank you for taking the time this morning. We're going to continue during our broadcast to get the information out there about the service tomorrow. I told my wife that is on my agenda to make it out there tomorrow myself. So I look forward to seeing you and your lovely wife. And I hope she's doing well, because last time I saw her, she had just had this surgery. That's how long it's been since I've seen her on her rotator. And I remember seeing her in such pain there at the event up there at Prince Hall. So I'm glad that she is mended. And I wish you well, my brother, and nothing but love and respect for you and the brothers and sisters in the nation. And please pass along our best wishes to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Farrakhan and his family as well.
Yes, I will, and God bless you and all the good you do for our community and for others in the city of Boston, no matter what their color is. And God bless you, my brother, who's also part of this conversation. Thank you so much for inviting me, and have a blessed day.
And you're welcome here anytime at the round table. So
thank you, brother. You be blessed.
All right. Take care, Brother Rodney.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yes, sir.
God bless.
All right. Bye.
All right, so that was Brother Rodney, Minister Rodney. He said,
I'm really impressed. They opened up a chapter in Cambridge, of all the places, and with free parking in the Republic of Cambridge. That's unheard of.
Yeah, I know.
But good job. Good job.
Thank you. Yeah. So yes, again, folks. Just before we get to this call, the home buyers class is going to be next Saturday, April 2nd, from 2 to 5 p.m. at Mamleo. It is free. If you're workshop there, you can learn about financing. Our sponsor Guarantee Rate will be sponsoring in conjunction with Mamleo from 2 to 5 p.m. Come over. So, like I said, the chorus going away, Dr. Bradley. She have you in mind. She says, does anyone want coffee or sandwiches?
She's on her way?
Yeah. She's going to drop off some flyers.
Okay. I'm good.
You good? Pastor Hobbs?
I'm good.
All right.
I'm good.
So, all right. So,
I gotta keep this.
we call it good morning. We have to put our order in. Good morning.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning, Dan.
I'm back.
All right, you're back.
and hopefully in not so much a noisy environment. The reason I was asking the initial question about what is a woman, as a Supreme Court justice, she might be called to rule upon or have an opinion on Roe versus Wade.
Yeah.
If you remember in the decision, it specifies that a woman's right, we'll stop right there, as a woman's right. If you don't have a definition of a woman, how can you rule on or make a decision on a ruling that defines specifically for a woman?
Okay, so
that's why I think the question is valid.
Right. Okay, so there are other valid questions as well. So let's get your.
Can we deal with the answers? Can we deal with the questions?
I'm not ruling on those, but I mean I think let's put them all in the same pot because see this is where you like to.
You can do that.
Yeah, you can because see they did it's just like Clarence Thomas, who we were talking about, and I'm sure you heard, ruled on an issue where he should have recused himself, where there were text messages from his wife that clearly the appearance, whether it's true or not, the appearance of conflict that he knew his wife's message would be contained in there, and that she had access to the chief of staff, which you don't see any problem with, right? But also he's been ruling on people's voting rights. She hasn't ruled on these things yet. He has, right? So we know what he has done, but we don't know what she will do if confirmed.
The question of the confirmation.
No. Okay, so fine. I'll answer your question when you answer mine.
I think it's speculating. I think he's speculating. Man.
It's not about the sequence.
I think it's all about. I think Larry's right. We don't know what she would do.
Dan, you want to deflect from right, and Dr. Bradley's right. You want to deflect. Yes, you do, because your attitude is, well, let's answer my question because I'm always right. You're not always right. In this instance here, the proof is there, right? Of the Supreme Court.
But here's the issue.
No, from your perspective, it's not the issue because you say it is.
Here is the issue. It's not because I think I'm always right. That is a false statement. That's one of those you can't prove statements. You probably shouldn't say it because I don't think I'm always right.
Dan, listen. First, let's stop here, right? Like you say, your broadcast. This is the Mamleo broadcast, not yours. So what we say here is what we want to say here, all right? If you don't like it, you don't have to call, all right? Because
it's not a matter of what I like it or not.
Well, but don't tell us what we can and cannot say here. That's the thing, right?
Well, I'm not saying you can't say it.
This is because you try to frame it in a way that if we're not saying it the way you want, if we're not in agreement with you, then it's wrong.
Well, can we? All right. The goal of this call was to have a conversation about a justice.
That's not what we're talking about. Right. Okay, go ahead.
Going through the process of confirmation. The question was asked her, can you define what a woman is? Can you tell me what a woman is? He said he can't do it.
Okay.
And I pointed out, and I said that there is a specific law that
no Supreme Court justice nominee has answered the question of when it comes to abortion. None of them have answered that question at all. Not one. So it's in that same category. You're asking her hypothetical. She's not a medical doctor. She's not examining someone. So these are just trick questions. Is it her point? It's not before her to define what a man or a woman is. These are senators who are looking for sound bites for their run for president. That's all this is.
For their base.
That's all this foolishness is.
But isn't it the same foolishness that happened when...
And it was no better.
The exact same foolishness that happened during Clarence Thomas's time?
No.
Wasn't the exact same foolishness
there was
at Justice Kavanaugh's time? It's the exact same foolishness.
Dan, stand by. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the round table.
Good morning, y'all. It's Jamal calling. How you doing?
Thank God.
Thank you for the savior. Save us here.
So listen, let's just clear this up real quick. So, because, when confused people speak, they can have the opportunity to confuse others, right? So all this hubbubaloo about what a woman is, right? Doesn't matter to me legally, whatever. There's one thing that we haven't brought in, which is scientifically, okay? So Roe versus Wade is not going to apply to any person. What he's referring to is transgender, because the definition of woman is, can you get pregnant?
Right.
Do you have a menstrual cycle?
Right.
Can you breastfeed? If you can't do those three things, you're not a woman.
Okay.
And see, all the other stuff that's happening, once again, with people's choice, you could alter your appearance, you could change your dress, all of those type of things. You can change your hormones, but you can't change your chromosomes.
Right.
So at the end of the day, whenever you die and they cut you open or find your bones later, they're going to determine exactly what you are by the traits.
What God intended you to be, right? What God intended you originally to be, right? That's what they're going to find, right?
And depending on your religion, it might not even be what you feel is God, but whatever. However you showed up on this earth when you came out, is the way you're going out, despite any alterations or whatever that one could do. Absolutely. But the point that a lot of people are trying to make to turn this into a political or a legal football, that doesn't make sense, because at the end of the day, we do have a tried and true method of determining who is a woman and who is a man.
Right.
And it doesn't have anything to do with genitalia, but it can have to do with the physiological functions of the body. If you do not have a menstrual cycle, you are not a woman. If you cannot get pregnant and hold a baby in your stomach, your womb, for 9 months, you are not a woman. And I'm not talking, because obviously there's some women that can't have kids, and then, what else? So I'm not a woman? That's not what I'm talking about. Right. I'm talking about genetically, the physiological makeup. Right. So that's one thing. The other thing on the Supreme Court system, based on another one of your callers, I think it really is unfortunate. Now, look, I'm a person, I'm not, I don't want to say I don't believe in it, because we see it all the time. But for myself, I'm not a proponent of interracial marriage. So you know what that means? That means I'm going to make sure that I don't marry a white woman. And that's it.
Right.
I don't have any control of what you do, next door neighbor does, guy down the street, whatever. And that's where we get mixed up. So then we cannot then say, because a person has a mate of another color, that disqualifies them from all the other things that are going on in society. That's a real illogical and, to me, immature argument. And for instance, just let's take it here locally. That would disqualify so many of the members of our own Boston City Council who have chosen to have mates of other races or whatnot. And I just think it's unfair when you do that.
Right.
It's just unfair. And I think
and that's why I say, Jamal, to me, the focus should be about her qualifications, and that's why I'm saying, and I gotta say, you love who you love. I'm not even going to get into that. As you said, there are choices that I made in my life that others would not have, and as it relates to dating or whatnot. Dr. Brown and I were having that conversation off air. it may not be my choice, but I'm not judging. That's not what I'm looking at. We see what's happening here. They're attacking her. It was, as I was saying, in my opinion, that they were trying to put her in a category that once she's done, that she's an affirmative action pick, and that's all. She's not qualified to sit in that seat. And she's more qualified.
Some people would disqualify you guys because they say, I can't listen to them. They're not real black people because they're cops.
Right.
You see, so we can do this all across the board, and we're just going to be cutting off various people who would be allies, and we're just cutting them off. Oh, I can't mess with that person because of this. I can't mess with that person because of that. What I try to do is I stick to issues of principles or morality. So if you're telling me that you don't like Ketanji Brown for this thing, great. Tell me where she stole some money at. Right. Tell me where she, did something that's immoral or right. criminal. Or,
that's
but anything else, I don't care about who she chose as a husband. Right. I am concerned about her judicial decisions. But all that. But people are focused on the wrong thing right. based on their own internal. What they like and what they feel. Right. So that's wrong.
Right. Well, that's why I was saying with Dr. Brown, I'd like to have him weigh in on this, is that when folks don't want to answer to the current member who's sitting on the Supreme Court, who clearly all this has come out, Jamal, the message of his wife, and in Dan's argument he hung up, it was that, well, it's his wife. But when your wife has access like that to the chief of staff, this is not just her opinions of what she is influencing it. And to want me to believe that the reason why he dissented from about releasing that information, that he knew that his wife's information would be contained and what they would retrieve from him, from him. And to say that this pillow talk isn't going on, and when she's referencing that she's talking to her best friend about these matters, that it's not her girlfriend she's talking about, because she always refers to him as her best friend. We're supposed to be naive and say, oh well, this is the hypocrisy that gets to me, and then don't call me trying to sway me to say, well, because Fox News said it.
I know the source now. Right. Fox News, but I do agree. I agree with Jamal. I'm looking more at your behavior right. as opposed to who you have chosen as a mate. Right. I hear Sadiqi's side of it, where but I think it's more about your behavior. Right. We don't know exactly what KBJ how she will rule. We don't know that yet because she hasn't had an opportunity to sit on. But I can't see her doing anything worse than what Clarence Thomas have done to our people. But
here's the other thing: even if she wanted to, with the makeup of the court now, if she wanted to come in and be an ultra liberal, it would just be one vote in that column. The other 6 justices have fairly clearly gone to the conservative dark side of it, right? And here's the piece that, Jamal, I think people are not paying enough attention to, because folks saying, well, it's just abortion rights, right? And women's rights. They're going after voting. This is regressing. And I tell folks, what they're saying, they came after me and nobody lit. Then they came they came for me, there was no one left. And this is because what is next? Like I said, they want to get rid of what they think is affirmative action, really is just equality. You think these folks don't have in their mind and saying, hey, these folks are voting? That's what the voting laws are suppressed, right? If some folks had their deference, we would be back in chains. Yep. And that's the reality. Yeah. Because as you start to see rights starting eroding, and we sit back watching and saying, well, it's only impacting this segment. I'm not a woman. It doesn't concern me, right?
But it doesn't concern you yet.
The voting in Georgia, people are saying with these voting rights, we live in Massachusetts. No, it's a pretty liberal. Yeah, but if the Senate is swayed, and so you're senator from Massachusetts, but they're passing federal laws that affect you here in Massachusetts, does affect you what's happening in Georgia and some of these other states.
Yes, it does. We have to see that. We have to see that.
And furthermore, too, what people don't understand is legally when things happen, they set precedent.
Right.
And now there's new case laws or something to build on, whether it's a legal thing or an electoral thing. So we have to really, be careful of that. But a lot of people.
But Jamal, let me just jump in for a second I apologize for interrupting, because to that point, the Astaria decisis, if I'm not saying it correctly, is basically, it says the Supreme Court has said that these are laws, these are cases that have been decided, abortion rights, and we're seeing a shift to saying, well, maybe they're not decided, right? So historically, the precedent has been that if that has been the law of the land all these years, we're not messing with that. But they seem to be more open to that because now the shift in the court is more of a conservative manner. So I want to lay that out, Jamal, because it's speaking to what you're going, the road you're going down.
Well, I tell you what I'm more concerned about than our external leadership is I'm more concerned about our internal leadership, because in times like this, when times they are changing and a lot of people are confused now, if you have the masses who are like, man, I don't know about this, what's going on over here, a lot of times we're dependent to get information from people who they themselves don't have the full story. And then it like the confusion spreads. So this is why, for a long time talking about a black agenda and all this type of thing, people always say, black people were not a monolith. So yeah, you might decide different on an issue than I do. But I don't want that to be based on misinformation.
Yeah.
I want us to both get the same set of facts, because there's only one facts, So us to get the same set of facts, and then we both get to make a decision. Your decision might not align with mine. It's okay, but the problem is too many people out there are making their decision and choosing their world outlook based on misinformation, and that to me is really messed up, because I can expect those folks to lie to us, those people, they did it to us, that type of thing. I can expect lies from that, but what is really hurtful is when we're lied to from the inside and, further people are confused. Right. We really have to do better about fact-checking and research
and that's where, like, Dr. Bradley brings a lot of value to that, because he's a historian. He brought the Maryland doctrine, was he was talking about?
The exclusionary doctrine of exclusion.
Right. See, that's the history of this country that they don't want told.
They don't want you to know. Right. They don't want you to know that, because that makes it very clear that all your institutions are predicated on that one, thought, was that black people will never benefit from the fruits of white society. Period. And so when you look at it from that perspective, when you see things like this, it doesn't really I shouldn't say it doesn't bother you. Right. It doesn't surprise you.
Right.
Because that's how this country is organized.
Right.
That's how policies and practices are actually promulgated, are printed and thought of through that lens.
Right. But Dr. Bradley and Jamal, I guess what troubles you is when people that look like us think that somehow if they try to play on the other side, that I'm not like those folks, and that, that at the end that they're going to somehow be invited to be part of the group. You'll never be accepted in that way.
You'll never be a part of the group, because the idea is that you're even with KBJ or Obama, when you achieve those levels of success, the idea is, because of that doctrine, you're navigating in areas where you should not be, based on what you look like, based on your skin color. You shouldn't be in this area. You shouldn't be navigating here. You know what I mean? And so until we begin to understand that all the other stuff that we're doing to try to be accepted or integrated into the society, in my opinion, is equivalent to dressing up a pig.
Right.
You're not. The pig is a pig.
Right.
It's not going to change.
To that point, Jamal, Ted Cruz, for example, I mean, you talking about the ultimate hypocrisy. You can show a split screen of him talking about what a reprehensible person Donald Trump was. Yeah. Now he's towing the water, right? And now he's talking about the 1619 project, and then find out that this same teaching is in the private school that his kids go to, right? She's not teaching this. Right, because she might be on a board somewhere. She doesn't set the curriculum, right? But you want to attach her to it. But yet you're paying for your children to go to a school that you claim this is an indoctrination, but yet you're paying for your kids and they're getting that same education that you're claiming. And then you're sitting there with your phone, because you're hoping that you're trying to figure out which one of these responses that this foolishness can I use for my campaign ad. You're trying to see which one is being retweeted and upset. The camera's caught him on his phone. This is supposed to be important. You're sitting there on tweeting, trying to see if you can get this trending.
Yes, exactly.
Well, the book that he held up and attacked, for those that don't know, is called How to Raise an Anti-Racist Baby or Anti-Racist Child. And it's written by Dr. Ibram Kendi.
Yeah.
And it's available locally here at Frugal Bookstore down Dudley or Nubian. Frugal Bookstore, only black bookstore in Boston. I encourage people to go check it out and get it. And instantly, after Ted Cruz attacked it, it became the number one on Amazon. bestseller.
He did Dr. Kimmy
this week I'm sending him my book in hopes that he's accurate.
He did him a favor. Make more money.
You can't make this stuff up. These people are, they're just. It's crazy, and you would think it's a Saturday Night Live skit that's happening in real life, and that's what's sad because a lot of these people are sitting in the seats of power. And can you imagine if Ted Cruz had one, and we had 4 years of Cruz rather than Trump? I mean, it's like Dumb and Dumber. It's like we're stuck between the choice between what do you want, Satan or Lucifer?
But even the attack,
it's really bad.
Right, Jamal on saying
people are grabbing at straws because they don't really have a good intellectual argument. So they're just pulling out whatever they can pull out. And now it is really political theater and comedy.
There lies the real hit right there. Number one, there's no intellectual argument with this lady. But what they're doing is an exercise in political theater. They're trying to actually throw out these little talking points that's going to galvanize and motivate their voting base for the upcoming election. This is not about scrutinizing. It's not about reviewing her. What she has done on the court, because you can't question. I mean, her reputation is impeccable. You can't question it.
She's in the 80th percentile on her decisions, in sentencing, right?
Exactly. I mean, when I heard Cruz, Lindsey Graham talk about her decision, talk about the decisions that she made, and she was actually using the model that the Senate had put together for determining sentencing. I was like, come on, this is not about scrutinizing her. It's all about motivating their
one
place.
Of the folks that he had confirmed that he had supported for the associate justice, on the federal court, voted the same way. That he confirmed with the same record that she has. So this is about and even even Lindsey Graham. What I took when his opening statement was he was upset that he the black woman from South Carolina wasn't the nominee. What he was saying is that was just the guy to give him cover, because he started out basically saying, I'm going to tell you I'm a racist so you don't call me one. And that I would have voted for that other black woman, but now you put this one in front of me, so I'm not voting for her because I didn't get the one I want. Knowing that he wouldn't have voted, he'd have found some fault in her as well. Because he had voted to confirm Jackson twice before him for the two other courts, the federal positions on the courts that she sat on.
I personally think he's going to probably vote to confirm her this time.
He's not.
But it's all about theater.
He's already said because Mitch McConnell said he was not going to vote to confirm her.
It's all about theater.
Yeah.
This is political theater, and that's a sad that it has been reduced to this important piece of constitutional responsibility has been reduced to political theater.
It's politics, and Clarence Thomas has just confirmed that. That's why I have very little tolerance any longer for folks who want to perpetuate that lie, and that's what it is, a lie. That now. What they're planning on doing is stealing elections. This election was not stolen.
No, 24 will be stolen.
Right, but 2022 will be stolen.
Yeah, and 24.
The one this year
because they have already put the pieces in place.
All right, exactly.
They're already in place.
Already attacked.
You know what I mean? You already laid the ground to steal the election.
So Jamal,
to validate votes.
How do we move forward? Because this country is so divided, and it's really divided on racial lines, and even some folks that look like us are buying into that somehow they're going to be okay. Because they may be living in a house and some of the other folks.
Let me explain something to you very quickly before Jamal. Hold on, Jamal. Let me put this out there. There were Jews who actually supported Hitler in Germany until they realized that Hitler was exterminating Jews. So keep that in mind.
Right.
And all throughout our history, you will have people like Sambo who actually killed Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom got a bad rap, all right, because the real Uncle Tom was Sambo.
Okay.
But white folks twisted to make sure that we use the term Uncle Tom to apply to what we. But my point is that don't be surprised that our own people support this.
But the other thing is, that's why another reason I want to let you speak is I applaud the folks in Ukraine because they learned from their history and they said, hey, we're not standing on the sideline. We'd rather die. Then we understand what people who come in here talking about that, and they don't just stop at this border. So we're going to stop it. We're going to fight back right now. And kudos to them. That has been the right approach, right? That has been the right approach. Jamal, go ahead. What you want to say?
So my thing is, and I don't know if it's been marketing, promotion, or what, But some of the best ideas, for whatever reason, people don't gravitate towards to, and some of the worst ideas they seem to, absorb wholeheartedly, and it's odd, frustrating. So for me, the answer was already created in black nationalism, which is do for self, right? Which is we build up our own neighborhoods, we buy our own buildings, we have our own schools, our own businesses, and we support each other. And if you notice, in every city, not every, but most major cities across America, there is some semblance of Chinatown. Now, the Chinese people had a heck of a way to go in this country. Weren't necessarily enslaved, but, during the railroad thing, some major issues there. Then, of course, due to their political thing, America and China have been, not so friendly for a long time. But yet, despite those two factors, Chinese have a Chinatown in every major city.
Yes.
Now, is there a Russia town? Is there a Polish town? There's a high population of Polish people in Chicago.
Even here, do certain sections of South Boston over there, you have a lot, and Brighton. Yep. Yeah.
And you might have a little Italy in a lot of these places. But my point is, we don't have a little Africa. And when one was tried to be created, it met with much political, pushback.
Right.
And so my point is, for the folks who have been here in many cases the longest, who have contributed the most, for whatever reason, we have been unable to invest in the one thing that we control, which is us. And we've spent a lot of time developing skills. What do people call it? A brain drain? People come get educated here, and then they leave Boston, right, and go elsewhere. Okay, so let's look at that as culturally. A lot of us go get educated, and then we give up all the skills we've developed outside of our culture. So now we're using our big brains and our service to, for a corporation that's not entrenched in the community. Rather than us, as Malcolm X suggested, our students of political science would come back and then help us form the political piece. Our lawyers would come back and then help us form the legal piece. Economists, and so on and so forth. But we have a cadre of talented people in every genre, but for whatever reason, we don't link up. And folks, it ain't just the Willie Lynch syndrome, because I know somebody out there is like, oh, Willie Lynch. First of all, I hate when people use that like he was a historical figure, because there's no evidence that man ever existed. All right? But outside of that, the concept is laid out, may or may not be true. But I'll tell you about a concept that has kicked us in the behind far more than that.
Right.
Lack of organization.
Well,
and that is where Kwame Ture said, organize.
Right. And that brings us to, like I said, because it was going to, you kind of got to jump on our 9 o'clock segment, because there's also a piece in this morning's Boston Globe, so maybe we can grab you early on it. It's the world of big time development in Boston is overwhelmingly white. There's a growing push to change that. So they're saying is all of this growth, because exactly what you were saying, that's the reason why I plugged it in right now, is Dr. Bradley as well, is that we're not benefiting from that. No, I know the mayor put Sagoon in charge of trying to move this, but it's not going to happen overnight. But I think we're too far behind the 8 ball with these projects. And if you don't have an infrastructure in place, like even with Cruz, as big as he has gotten, the family has, they still don't have access to some of these larger projects that are taking place even in our community. We're seeing these
because they're written out of those RFPs. Yeah. There's nothing there to actually, even if they're like the Suffolks, get these projects, there's nothing there requiring them to bring in people of color or people of minority-owned businesses.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's how the RFPs written. I'm going right back to the doctrine of exclusion. Yeah. How are they written? They're not written to actually bring us in.
And Jamal, let me just read this piece right here in the Globe, because I think it says, from Roxbury through Chinatown and over in the Seaport, a push to diversify Boston's development industry is starting to reach critical mass. A new wave of companies and investors is launching projects and winning lucrative contracts to design, build, and manage them. It's a striking shift in just a few years for a sector in the city that has long been overwhelmingly white. But there's a big catch. a glaring omission. For the most part, these projects all sit on publicly owned land where Massport or some other state or city agency can set the criteria to choose who develops them and prioritize diversity. So this is not private land. This is public land that people claim, the governor and all claim that we were going to have access to. We're still not getting any more access to it.
You're not. Because, again, even the governor, the system is designed in such a way to alienate you and keep you out. And I keep going back there because I think we're missing the pig. You know what I mean? Which is the system itself. Yeah. All right? We're missing the pig. And I agree with what Jamal is saying in terms of us being, depending on us, because I think we mentioned this when I talked about the fact that I think we should start our own political party as a people, because we've been Republicans, we've been Democrat, we've been marginalized among both. Why don't we start our own? And it's that self-independence. But even when doing that, I go back to Wall Street, Black Wall Street. We had that. What happened to it? It was bombed.
Right.
You know what I mean? The fact that people say, well, America dropped bombs on its own citizens. I can go back to the Black Wall Street to give you a good example of that. So we keep missing the pig. Right. We have to deal with this pig.
Jamal, what do you have to say about that? Because how do you get this started? As Dr. Bradley alluded to there, is that there is a capital that you need, one, to compete in this arena, right? Where, you see like big signs, J.F. White and all those folks that, are been history, even Susie family. I mean, they are, you don't see most roads going down without seeing their trucks down there. When summer starts, it's almost summer's here when you see Susie ripping up the streets, right? But I don't see, in all these years, I've not seen one black owned company that has that type of contract.
Not only do you not see a black owned, I don't even see a black owned a truck driver who's hauling all the concrete away. Yeah. You know what I mean? So this again, we have to have something in place to prevent that from happening. Yeah. So we have to deal with that something.
Jamal, what's the answer?
Even if we come together, that's something still there.
Well, once again, the principles of black nationalism, we should be able to support those who are out there, who are in business. Hopefully, if we could get like several of these people who may have smaller entities to join under one umbrella, then begin actively pursuing them, I think that could be an answer for that smaller issue. Right. But the larger issue too is that at least for me and it might be too late for us. So now what we have to do is spend all our time instilling in the children the secrets to the kingdom, so that they can have a better shot at it than us. And to Dr. Bradley's point about the Black Wall Street and whatnot, anytime, and this goes to nationalist thinking as well, and my militant background, you can't build nothing without being able to defend it. And so when we was kids, what's one of the first things we did? Build a fort. Right. So we have to be leery of those type of things. But yes, because if we attempt to do something great, we have to be prepared to withstand what the enemy may throw at us.
You got it, brother.
Right. Well,
Jamal, you just hit it. You got it.
And let me say, and the first tool to make sure that we are not besieged on by the enemy is to make sure that we dot every I, cross every T, and keep our noses clean, so that if we are held up to a scrutiny, we know it's nothing that we did wrong.
That's right.
Well, Jamal, we've got to run. We're at the top of the hour. We're going to continue to talk about this. Feel free to call back, brother, because we're going to continue to talk about it, because that generates wealth. The perfect example of that before we take is that the Big Dig was a $2 billion project. It started out. By the time it was done, it was over almost $24 billion that had been spent on the Big Dig here in Boston.
How much did we get?
That's my point. We're going to talk about it. How many black millionaires or billionaires did it make out of that? The answer is zero.
Donut.
Right? And we're going to talk about that. Jamal, if you want to go ahead.
The person of color who made the most money off the Big Dig was the lady who unfortunately died when she got hit with the panel and died.
Oh, that's right, in the tunnel there. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to continue this conversation when we come back. We'll be right back. You're listening to At the Round Table with Mary.
The family made it. Her family made it.
See ya, never get the chance to meet ya. No, I came up from the bottom, always rooting for the underdog.
I wrote 300 songs in 1 year. Boogie will tell you I'm on it. I got